Everybody, we are welcoming a very special guest on this episode of the Jim Masters Show. Thanks for joining us all around the world for Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, bringing back that lost art of conversation. Tanya Newbould is here. She's an award-winning actress, producer, and so much more. And she's sharing a very poignant and personal story with this documentary that everybody's talking about that's going to be debuting very, very soon when the Bough Breaks. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, let's welcome our extraordinary guest, Tanya, to the show. Tanya, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Jim, thank you so much for having me, and it's an honor to be here.
The pleasure is all mine. You know, people know you also for your work. What inspired you to even want to go into entertainment and the arts from the very beginning?
Well, when I was about 7 years old, it was either to be an astronaut, a princess, or an actress. Now, astronaut, you can do, didn't quite make that cut. Princess, not so much in the United States. So an actress was the one that went out for me, and I moved out to LA to do so.
What was the very first opportunity for you, the big break, when you look at, because you got to pound that pavement and you got to make those connections.
Oh,
People
yeah.
got to see your amazing talent. What would you consider for you, because it's very inspiring for others watching who know of your incredible work, what was that door opening opportunity that you look back and say, gee, if that didn't happen, or something that was really very important for you in your career that sort of set the stage for you, Tanya?
Well, it's funny. I actually kind of came in the back door. So I ended up working on Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And I started out as a college student in the future. And they liked me so much that they invited me to kind of stay and hang out. And I became Keanu Reeves' stand-in. So look at me, look at Keanu. Not really a resemblance there. So they would put me in a black headband. I would wear his clothes.
Wow.
Longest time he was kind of like, what? And he ended up being just the most lovely human being and just a great person. I worked on the film for 3 months. I also played Marilyn Monroe in Heaven. And then at the very end, it's very interesting. I kept seeing myself having a speaking part, and it hadn't happened. We got done shooting and we came back for 1 week of reshoots. On the very last day, the director, Peter Hewitt, came up to me and he said, we need a rock and roll reporter. I'd like you to do it. Can you write some dialogue? And so I did that. I said it. All of it stayed in. And that was like my big break and the beginning into actually being an actress, not on the backside.
How cool is that? What a great trajectory that was for you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and it really shows if you have a vision, dream, and goal, don't give up on it. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily come through the way we think it should, the way we envision it. But when you really put your energy toward that, because wherever we choose to focus, we create more of. So hold on to that dream and really keep looking for ways to get it.
You know, in addition to your great background as an actress, you're also producer, co-creator of this incredible documentary film. But you're somebody who also comes from a position of and a mindset, emotional intelligence, empathy, compassion. You're very empowering and very inspiring. You like to work on projects, that are fun and entertaining, but also that leave people thinking, that leave the room better than you found it, and to bring people together in a very inspiring way. That's incredibly important and paramount for you, isn't it, Tom?
It really is. And thank you for saying that. As I've gone through my life and being an actor for me, when I was younger was look at me, look at me. I can do this. I'm talented. Look at me. As I've gone through my life, and especially the documentary, because I suffered 7 out of 9 perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, it became about don't look at me, but look at the situation. What can we do to help people? How can we help women, men, and families? Because 1 in 5 women suffer and 1 in 10 men suffer. And when I did the documentary, I never once cared about anyone looking at me. I cared about the project, what it could do, how it could positively affect change, educate, inform, and save lives. From that moment on, I think that was really a key into, this all look at me is very myopic and shallow. It came from the background probably of being adopted and feeling abandoned and everybody loved me and all the things. But now it's about who can I serve? How can I help? What difference and impact can I make?
Tell us about this project, which again is near and dear to your heart. And it's something quite special. It's again, When the Bough Breaks, this documentary about postpartum depression, which a lot of people do deal with. And sometimes they deal with it or they suffer through it silently. They don't really reach out for help. They don't think it's something that maybe other people deal with when a lot of people do. In this particular extraordinary and very moving documentary film, celebrity moms have come together, including yourself, Carnie Wilson of Wilson Phillips, she's a regular ride. We love her. And Real Housewives of the O.C Alum, Peggy Tanos, and even a Food Network celebrity chef was with you. We'll talk about that and so much more.
Yes.
Yeah, really something very, very special as this feature-length documentary about postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis is also narrated and executive produced by another acting legend, Brooke Shields. And the film uncovers the very public health issue which affects 1 in 5 new mothers after childbirth. Tell us about how all of you came together to want to work on this project. And there's a wonderful shot of the producers, of you guys together, which we love. Tell us about the initial inspiration for this and why this right now is the perfect time for it.
Well, I unfortunately, as I mentioned, suffered very badly from postpartum depression. Had no idea what was wrong with me, wanted a child, been happily married for 11 years, had this beautiful baby, great pregnancy, but then had a traumatic recovery from my C-section. That sent me into a tailspin, and it very quickly morphed into like, oh, something is not right here. And the way I began feeling about being a new mom, feeling isolated, unfortunately, my baby had colic. She was screaming all the time. She wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. My husband worked in the corporate world, so he had to get up and work. So I was awake all night, every 2 hours. And I very quickly started to go downhill. At the time, I didn't really realize that. I thought, oh, I had a baby. I'm tired. This is what new mothers experience. But over time, I began having horrific visions of throwing my baby off the balcony, never acted on anything, but they would play over and over, wanting to escape. Planned a trip. I'm from Europe, so I'm going to take my dual citizenship, disappear into London. My husband and baby will be better off without me. All of these things. Fortunately, a couple of my friends really tuned into this, and one gave me a book called Down Came the Rain by Brooke Shields. And at the time I was like, threw it in the drawer, but eventually pulled it out and read it. And that was the first time I went, oh my God, I have postpartum depression. I finally had a name to what I was experiencing because I began to think I was literally going crazy. I'm like, something is very wrong with me. Plus, you're so frightened by that thought and by having this new baby that you don't want to talk about it. My fear was they were going to come and take my baby from me. And even though I was suffering, I still loved my baby. I didn't want to lose her. So it's a really tough situation to be in. And that is how I learned what was happening. But I couldn't really find a lot of information on it. So at a certain point, once I came out of it, which is about 5.5 months later, I was interviewed for a documentary called Die Trying by Jamielyn Lippman, this amazing female director. I really liked her. She's feisty, fiery. She knows her stuff. And when we finished, I said, I have an idea for a documentary about postpartum depression, and I want you to direct it. And she looked at me and she said, she had a 4-month-old baby. She goes, I didn't have it. And I think she really registered the disappointment in my face. And she said, I'll tell you what, I will post this on a mommy blog. And if something happens, I'll let you know. 24 hours later, she called me. She said, oh my God, there's over 100 responses of women saying, I'll give my testimony. And she said, you're on to something. And that's how it began.
That's amazing. So how did you have the idea? How did you all come together? You and Brooke Shields and Carnie and everybody, Peggy, all coming together to put this idea into motion to turn it into an actual documentary.
Well, it was definitely a team effort. I'm so grateful to both Jamielyn Lippman and Lindsay Gerst, because the three of us became producers together. Lindsay and her husband also executive produced it. Jamielyn is also the director as well as producer. And that's how it began, of collecting different people. Peggy and I used to model together. I knew her very well. Lindsay knew Carnie, and Aarti also came through Lindsay. And then Brooke Shields. My goal, because of the book, and I said from the day one, I said, I want Brooke Shields to narrate this. She has to. No idea how am I getting Brooke Shields? Yes, I'm an actress, but I'm not, I don't know her. Well, I have this phenomenal neighbor across the street who's also an amazing actress, Amy Brenneman, who did Teaching Amy, Private Practice, works consistently all the time. She's incredible.
And our next guest is
right, totally.
We're going across the street with coffee and cheesecake.
We'll take the cross there. And she came over one day, and I told her about what we were up to. And I said, my goal is to get Brooke Shields. And she looked at me and she smiled. She said, do you want me to call her? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
She's friends with her. And that's how we got the connection with Brooke. She came on board, also executive produced it. And so we flew to New York, and that's the shot you have of the four of us. And she could not have been more lovely, kind, and gracious. We're very, very grateful to her, because she really was the first celebrity to put an actual voice to postpartum depression and to really name what was happening boldly at a time where she was being judged for doing so. So I really am in so much gratitude to her personally for paving the way, which allowed us to move further into it and really dive into what is this mental health issue that needs to be addressed and still needs so much more help in this area, in hospitals, in mommy groups, in everything, pediatric offices, obstetrics. There's so much work to be done still.
There really is. And one thing I know, as far as Brooke Shields being involved, she said something really beautiful. Quoting her, she said, I'm honored to be a part of this team that works so fearlessly to bring awareness to cause and also to seek action for mothers around the world. So she was all in right at the top, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I get emotional saying it. This is huge because it's not about me. It's not about us. It is about you, the audience, the new mamas, the husbands, the families that are suffering. When I hear about a woman who has either harmed herself or her baby, let me tell you something. No woman, no human being in their sane mind would ever, and I mean ever, harm themselves, harm their baby. But when your mind is not working correctly, whether it be hormonal, sleep deprivation, needing to be on medication and not being, or vice versa, there are so many factors involved: lack of community, traumatic birth, and it affects each person individually. And there's such a stigma around it, such a stereotype that and social media is so damaging. So is the press. Oh, she had a baby and 3 weeks later she's back to her weight, and look at her with her baby. She looks so cute and she's happy and it's perfect. No, that is not reality. And the sooner we can honor that, speak about that, connect with each other, show up for each other, we can decimate this stigma together.
That's the key. It takes a village, right? It is everybody coming together in this loving and beautiful way and for the right reasons, which I think is fantastic. Carnie Wilson, of course, who is just a wonderful person. She's such a, she's gone through things in her own life too, but she still provides a great sense of humor and joy and passion. She's quick-witted, and anytime I've ever seen her, she's just somebody who, her personality is very infectious. You want to be around her. But in this documentary, she does share some heavy duty material, which I think is a beautiful thing for her to do, because it inspires others. Hey, here's somebody that we know and love, Carnie Wilson, and she's been through these things as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I should look into it. When you see people that you know and you love and you revere, who are celebrities, who are out there doing their thing, and you see them opening up and being real and authentic and sharing their stories, it allows somebody else who maybe is quietly experiencing this to say, wow, if they can get through it, maybe I can too, right?
Absolutely. And Carney was so bold when she did a whole People magazine interview on what she was experiencing. And again, that was still kind of at a time where, we don't talk about that. So I also say she's another pioneer who got out there and said, no, I went through this. And exactly what you're saying, it allows a gateway of so many people to go, oh, she went through that. Well, I'm going through that. Maybe I can talk about it. Maybe it is okay if I reach out. I don't have to suffer in silence. And that really is the tagline, is that you are not alone. You are not alone. This affects 1 in 5 women. It is not based on age, socioeconomic, race. Now, I will tell you this, there unfortunately is a much higher case rate of this incidence happening in lower income families, race, community, mainly because they don't get the resources. The privileged people, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to put it, they get far more access to resources. There are so many communities that suffer in silence because there are no resources. No one's rushing to help them. No one's creating clinics or talk groups or mommy groups that they get to come to and connect with. So these poor women and men are suffering, and it's not okay.
Exactly. That's why I think, again, bringing this to the forefront in the way that you do is extraordinary. The film follows Lindsay, a mother who has been suffering from this for 6 years, and she agrees to let the cameras document her and give us an in-depth look at her path to recovery. And you meet women who have, again, committed all kinds of different things, like infanticide, and also families who have lost loved ones to suicide. Tell us about all that if people aren't familiar about what some of this is.
Well, I highly recommend that you rent or buy the documentary and share it. When the Bough Breaks, a documentary about postpartum depression. We will be on iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play starting December 15th. So very honored for that. And it is really important to watch because Lindsay was so brave and such a phenomenal team member, producer, and for her to share her story so boldly of everything she experienced and went through, she truly is the through line of our documentary. There are actually 9 levels of perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, and most people don't know that. It goes under the umbrella of postpartum depression, which is fine. But it's everything from baby blues, which affects approximately 80% of women, usually subsides within 2 to 3 weeks post-birth, and then you're on your way. But it goes all the way up to level 9, which is postpartum psychosis, which affects 1 in 1,000 women. And unfortunately, and I say trigger warning, 2 of the members that gave testimonies in our documentary did subsequently take their life. And it was unbelievably devastating. One of them was a dear friend of mine who also was an actress. And it is real. It is not, it's devastating that this can actually happen and is still happening more times than we ever want to see in the news.
I think again, it's so beautiful that you're all being authentic. And these are being celebrities, being known. Oftentimes, you would assume, oh, gee, we can't, it's going to affect our brand. It's going to affect our image. We can't reveal any of this, or we have to be perfect and everything has to be exact, or that's going to affect all this. All of you involved, I've just thrown out that out the window to say, look, we're real people and we are, talents and in entertainment, and we have the light on us. But what we're choosing to do is take that light, turn it around and shine it on others and share our light with them while we're still doing our craft and still entertaining and inspiring people. We're also real people like everybody else, and we have experiences in our life, and we want to inspire and share that with people, which I think is a beautiful thing. Not everybody would do that. So the fact that each of you involved in this documentary have taken that step, kudos to all of you. And it shows truly the empathetic, compassionate people that all of you are.
I so appreciate you saying that, Jim. And I'm a point to what you just said. When I shared with my husband, who's wonderful, I've been married to a very long time, part of my testimony was talking about, which is actually called intrusive or obtrusive thoughts of the vision, throwing her off the balcony that kept replaying. And he looked at me and goes, you can't share that on film. And I looked at him, I said, your reaction right there is why I have to. Because it is that horrifying that a new mother could have that thought process and that nobody talks about it, because the truth is it's actually quite normal. It does not mean you are going to act on it. And trust me, as a mom, I have to someday have this conversation with my daughter, because there will come a point where she will be very aware of this. But here is what is the truth. She chose me. She came here because she and God knew I would do something about it. And she truly is a gift that allowed me to go, oh my gosh, something is wrong here, to open up this conversation, which became a dialogue, which became a documentary, which is me finishing my memoir and all of the things that follow being a speaker, to help, to educate, to make a difference for others. So truly, that is a gift. So a lot of times what we think is our mess is actually our message.
So very, very true. How has working on this documentary, I mean, again, you're a wonderful actress and producer, and the acting has been something that you've really immersed yourself in all these years. But now, having worked on something like this, how has that changed your thought process, what you want to do going forward, projects you want to take on, and how it's added different elements to your offerings and what you want to do as you continue with your life?
Well, thank you for asking that. Truthfully, it changed my life entirely, because going back to what I said earlier, looking at acting at that time was very much about, look at me. And now it's like, no, listen, I love acting. I do think I'm a good actor too. So I appreciate you saying that. I love being a part of projects and community, of the entire production of creating content. But that being said, it has to have meaning. It has to move the narrative forward, either in my life or someone else's, where I go, this has substance, this has meaning. I now am more of a speaker. I speak on stages. I speak around the world. I'm a coach. I became an International Coaches Federation certified associate coach to help people to create impact and make a difference. That to me is far more fulfilling when someone comes up to me with tears in their eyes and they go, thank you. Thank you for sharing that side of yourself, which to some people might be very horrifying, but it spoke to me. And I know that I'm not crazy because I had these thoughts. That's a lot more rewarding than getting, for me, a statue that I can put on a shelf and look at. And listen, I'm not going to say if you want to hand me one, I'm not going to take it. But I am saying, like, I have found purpose in everything I'm doing now, moving forward to make an impact, to create a legacy while I'm here.
which is absolutely beautiful. And, sometimes things that happen in our lives are opportunities and they're actually gifts if we look at them in that way, right? And it seems like all of this, in a way, is and has been a gift for you and for everybody involved.
Well, and I could not have done this without Jamielyn and Lindsay. They were amazing. We were a cohesive team that co-created and co-produced this together. And again, I think Jamielyn is a phenomenal director. She's gone on to do many other films, rightfully so. And our documentary really does show the different levels, the different treatments, the different causes and effects, the testimonies. It's very well rounded, and I think gives a very clear picture of, oh, this is what this actually is. So I'm very proud of this.
I believe we also have a bit of a trailer here that gives people an idea of how not only riveting and inspiring and heartfelt this is, but how beautifully produced this documentary film was as well, which again is going to be available in a matter of days. And again, we'll repeat how you can watch it, how you can enjoy it, how you can share it with people. Take a look at this, and then we will continue our conversation with our incredible guest, award-winning actress and producer, Tanya Newbould, joining here. This is When the Bough Breaks. Just a quick little teaser here for you, and then we'll be back.
Motherhood can be exciting. It can be a blessing. It can be a dream come true. But for 1 in 5 new mothers, it can be something else entirely.
Oh, I guess something's really wrong.
Women all over the world suffer from this, and it can occur to anybody.
There's a lot of surprises, a lot of things that nobody can prepare you for.
This singular thought just kept playing in my mind, which was, this girl would be better off with another woman as her mother.
I want a baby my whole life, and all of a sudden I have her, and they bring her over to me, and I'm like frozen.
I was very quiet and withdrawn. I thought, well, I can't tell anybody my secret.
The sleep deprivation was starting to get to her, and she took her own life.
I put a pillow over her face and just held it there until she stopped struggling.
How do we help these women from going through this? That's why we're doing this, to educate.
We have a chance to make a difference and maybe save someone's life.
I felt like it was my fault because I didn't educate myself more.
Part of the depression is the guilt that goes along with it.
There's still so much stigma.
I think people forget that mental health is a sickness of the brain.
It's a huge issue that is not discussed.
We weren't made aware of all the risk factors, and Kelly actually had a lot of them.
Doctors are seeing more patients. It's easy for people to slip through the cracks.
When you hear about these things, you hear about how many red flags were up, it's shocking that we don't look at postpartum as something that's legitimate.
Everybody keeps a lid on it because of shame or fear or judgment, but it's amazing when you share how many stories you'll hear back.
It's so scary when you're in it, but it does shift.
Like, wow, I'm not the only one, I'm not the first, I won't be the last.
I'm proud of her for speaking up. That takes a lot of strength.
If my wife's death can result in the prevention of other deaths, at least it wasn't in vain.
To be able to change the course of someone's life by just sharing my story, you can't even put it to words.
Very moving, very riveting. And I could see in our little box, you could see the guests down below. This is moving even just to see that official trailer. One of the things too is we're talking about the camaraderie amongst the women, the mothers, but also having the support of partner, husband, the men involved, supporting the women who are going through this is extraordinarily important, isn't it?
It is so important, because one of the biggest things that happens is kind of what Brad was saying, is the guilt associated with the depression. Like, oh my God, this is really bad that I'm feeling this way. And a husband may tend to disassociate because men tend to want to fix. And if they don't know how to, they may kind of shut down, which is the worst thing that can happen. When someone can just be present, I'm sorry, I'm still moved by this so much. When someone can just be present and be with that person and say, I know I can't fix you, but I'm here for you. I will just sit with you. What do you need from me? A lot of times that's all we need. We need to be seen, acknowledged, heard, and not to be made like something's wrong, because this is a part of being a human being. And with help, you will be okay. I highly recommend Postpartum Support International. They have a warm line, a texting line. There is always ways to reach out to get help, but so many people don't know that.
You know, you've played many roles in your life as a wonderful and acclaimed actress. This is one of the greatest, huh?
I guess so. I mean, I'm honored that I get to be a part of this and to bring awareness to it. And even just seeing the documentary, the trailer, I've watched it hundreds of times. As you can tell, it still moves me because it needs to be handled more. It needs to be addressed more. There's still, like I said, is so much work to be done. So I want to do what I can do to help that.
Absolutely. And we mentioned, of course, Brooke Shields, executive producing and narrating it as well. This is Carnie Wilson. We mentioned Carnie being involved in it as well. But tell us about some of the other women that are a part of it as well. Of course, you'll remember and recognize her from Food Network. Yeah. Tell us about the others involved as well who've been so authentic and open.
You know, we were very fortunate because literally we did get these women through a mommy blog, and then we met with each one, and they so boldly came and gave their testimony, and each one was riveting in its own way. And one of the most beautiful moments of the documentaries, we actually filmed a reunion where when we were wrapping up, we all got together and talked about what this meant to us, how it affected each person's family or partner. And it was so beautiful to see, because the truth is, when you see it, you don't have to be it. When you talk about it, you can help, in a sense, make it disappear, meaning you're not holding it in here because you don't want to hold these things in. So when you have a safe space to say, oh, I'm not the only one. No, I've gone through that. No, that's normal to have that thought. Oh, yeah, I've gone through that too. You go, oh, okay. Thank you. You give someone permission to be able to say it and let it go, or to get healed from it, or go see this doctor, go get your hormones checked here, get your blood work done. Oh, is that what I need to do? So, conversation is everything.
We mentioned the Food Network TV celebrity chef, of course, Aarti Sequeira joining you in this as well. Tell us about bringing her on board.
I will tell you, in fact, I love her so much. And she right now just did a post the other day that I loved, where she said, here I am, I'm aging, and y'all get to watch me age, and I'm going to be authentic in this. She is such a beautiful force of nature. She has a new cookbook out, which I got. It's phenomenal. I highly recommend you get it. But she is real and authentic. And so therefore very approachable. And that's what I love. We all have our little radars when you're like, I don't think she's being real, because they're so worried about wanting to be perfect. So when someone isn't that way and they're willing to cry or be honest or open and show up in such a beautiful way, we gravitate towards that because it's real. She's amazing. She's talented. She chose to give her time to us by exposing this side of herself on the Food Network. At a time she was like, really being spotlighted. We are so honored for her, for Carnie, for Peggy, who's a dear friend of mine. So honored for Brooke, for everyone who chose to be from the celebrity level down to the next door neighbor mom who chose to be bold and give their time and their testimony to this documentary, and all of the doctors too.
Absolutely. Again, so many people involved. You mentioned Peggy, of course, people recognize from Real Housewives OC. She wanted to be a part of this and hopped on as well, Peggy Tanos.
She's amazing. And she right now, she lives in Florida at this time. So she's doing press there. And she has such a strong feel for this cause. So the second I told her, okay, here we go, she's like, great, what can I do? How can I support? And that's the other thing. Each of us as mothers know the importance of this. And there's women every day having babies that don't know about this. That's not okay. And so, Jim, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart that you took the time to have me on, that you are taking the time to share this. I'm so honored and touched because this is so meaningful, and it does not go unnoticed. I honor you. I'm thankful to you. I'm so grateful to be here right now.
Well, you're in the right spot, my friend. As I mentioned to Tanya off air that when we launched this series, we said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity. And one time I slipped up and said the show has a lot of light, levity, love and levity together. So I think the meeting of the minds here with you being on the show is so appropriate, and you are welcome here. You're at home here, and I know our viewers loving it and very moved by it, and they know your work. But now to see this side of you being so open and real and authentic and sharing something very personal in a way, and all the others that made this happen when the Bough Breaks, it's an absolutely beautiful thing. And I think it brings people closer to each of you, people who know your body of work, you and Carnie and everybody involved, Brooke Shields. It brings you closer because it adds a humanity to each of you, which I think just solidifies what people have all thought about each of you anyway. It brings them closer to the humanity of each of you. So the fact that you're sharing this is so beautiful and so wonderful, and we thank you for that. And I believe there's also a website for it too, right? whentheboughbreaksfilm.com.
That's correct. And we're doing a little bit of updating on it right now. And you can also follow me at tanyanewbould.com. I'm always
that too.
Reach out anytime, because honestly, if you're suffering, reach out to me on social media, private message me. I will respond to you. I am here because it is, and I know Lindsay Gerst has been a huge advocate as well. She really is the one responsible who got our Facebook page up and running and was responding to every single person who came in. And Jamielyn is a huge force to be reckoned with as well. So such a great team.
What do you hope people are left with when they see this documentary? And again, let us know when it's actually airing so people will check that out, Tanya.
What my hope and prayer that you are left with is that this is a mental health issue, and that if it is addressed, that you will indeed be okay, that there are warning signs. And if you see them, please, please do something about it. Don't ignore it. You may be the component to save someone's life or that baby's life. It is vital that you speak about it. So that is what I really hope that you come away with. And also, the more we talk about it, we decimate the stigma and we normalize it. This is normal that this happens, but we need to share that information.
And you're doing it in a beautiful way, my friend. Come back and see us, even just to chat about things you're excited about in the acting world and producing world. We'd love to have you back. And this truly was a very inspiring conversation. Congratulations to you. Please extend our congratulations to Brooke and Carnie, all the producers, everybody involved. You're all welcome to join us at any time here on the show. And truly, I hope the show met whatever expectations you had and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, Tanya.
I feel like we're friends now, like we could hang and, let's go grab our lunch and sit here and just keep chatting.
Exactly. We'll go across the street with the coffee and cheesecake to Amy's.
Oh, there you go. Sounds good to me. No, it's been an honor. And this is coming out December 15th to answer your other questions. So Please, Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, rent it, buy it, share it. So appreciate you.
You're very welcome. New friend made here on the Jim Masters Show, my friend Tanya. Continued blessings and joy to you and yours, and best of the holidays. Come see us again. Say hello to everybody for us. And it was a real honor and pleasure to have you here. And congratulations on everything, including this amazing documentary.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You be well. Take care now. Cheers.
Cheers.
Tanya Newbould joining us here on the show. What an extraordinary conversation, everybody, and what an incredible documentary. Very moving, very inspiring, and very, very special. Here it is on the screen for you, When the Bough Breaks. Again, iTunes, Amazon. You can check it out. There's the actual, isn't that a really cool shot? Just tells the story right there in that cover shot from that documentary. Here also is, if you want to keep updated and keep abreast of their website and the goings on with the documentary film that the entire team has worked lovingly on for each of us. Even if you're not going through something like this personally, you may know somebody who is, you may know somebody who has or might be in the future. And it's always good to have the knowledge and the compassion and the preparation and to, lend a kind word and some support as this team has come together. I mean, lots of incredible talent coming together and creative forces for the good of everybody else with this documentary. It's amazing. There is the website as well. They're freshening the website. They're updating the website as well. So check it out. WhenTheBoughBreaksFilm.com. The movie is When the Bough Breaks, and again, executive produced as well and narrated by the one and only Brooke Shields. Of course, from Suddenly Susan and Blue Lagoon and so much more. And again, there is Tanya's website too. She herself, separate from the documentary film, a brilliant actress and producer. Talked earlier in the beginning of our conversation about some of the other things that she's done. And again, if this is your first time watching the Jim Masters Show Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, we have hundreds of episodes you can watch archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. You can follow us on all the socials at Jim Masters TV on Facebook, X, and Instagram as well. And we love when you comment and interact with us. We would love for you to leave a comment below, right here in the comment section underneath this episode. And don't forget to give this episode a hearty like. There's a thumbs up like. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all the celebrity guests and friends who stop by from television and film, Broadway, Hollywood, from international to regional. It's really amazing. So many incredible guests. Jim Masters TV is the actual YouTube channel. And share this as well. Share this episode on your social media with somebody you think who might really also enjoy this particular conversation. Got a chance to see the trailer a little bit as well. That's just a little teaser. It's quite a riveting documentary. So look for it. Check it out. And as always, we thank you for joining us here. I'm your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we say, don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to do the very same for yourself. Come see us again. Check out the past episodes, binge watch hundreds of them on the YouTube channel. And for all of us here, be well, enjoy the day, and see us again right here in Levity Hall at the Jim Masters Show. We love you all. Take care and be well. And cheers.